Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at the Pixapro CITI600 TTL, and down below will be a link to my more detailed video about how the triggers work. There is also a cheaper version of this without TTL, meaning communicate with the camera to give an automatic exposure. So this is the more expensive version, by far the best light that I've ever used. I love how simple it is to use this and how simple it is to use this. For me, that's such a huge thing because on the shoots, I never have to worry about what the hell this is doing. It just works together with me. It is built like a beast. And this has every advanced feature that I would want in a flash and runs off a powerful battery. Now this can be bought with a direct power adapter to power this directly from the wall and a separate charger for the battery. So basically you can continue using this if the battery runs out, even though in most situations, this is just gonna hold up totally fine for a long use. Everything about this just feels so solid and well made. I mean, it's like the buttons, the battery connection, Bowen's mount connection. It does come with a protector for the bulb. This does also have an LED light behind the bulb for your modeling lights. And once again, that runs off the battery. And you can actually use this for filming video. It's not super bright like the actual video lights from Pixapro. Similar brightness to the little LED lights that I use from Aperture. The thing that I actually love about this and about the wireless controller units that you can get for this is that it's just the most user-friendly thing. It just works really, really well. And the buttons do what you would expect them to do, and it has a really simple menu. This is manufactured by Godox, so it is actually backwards compatible with some other Godox products. And these transmitters are both HSS and TTL. So TTL would be the wireless control that actually communicates with the camera and does automatic exposure. And HSS is high-speed sync, meaning you can use very high shutter speeds to get various effects. Either, you want to dim sunlight by using a higher shutter speed, or you want to stop motion, etc. I really like the screen on this. It's easy to see both at night and outdoors and daylight, and it doesn't turn off on you. That's so nice. You don't have to press a button to illuminate it every time you want to see what you're doing. Another nice feature is if you leave the battery plugged in, it doesn't run itself out. If you turn it back on again in 2 months, in my experience, it's still showing full power. So that's fantastic. You can also get an extension unit for this to have this either on the floor or somewhere safe where it won't get damaged, or in its bag at your side. And that's going to be really good for people who are actually walking around with the flash and having the camera on a tripod for when you're lighting the shot from multiple angles. And then, obviously you'd put all those images together in Photoshop. This extension is going to be very easy to hold by an assistant. Unless your assistant is a bodybuilder, he's not going to have a real easy time holding this unit up. It's close to 3 kilograms. And then this would just be worn on their shoulder in the bag. It's just much easier that way. This release mechanism for the Bowen's connection is completely flat. They've thought about the fact that you absolutely do not want whatever you have on there, your lighting modifiers, you don't want to have those disconnect by accident because you don't want to have them break the bulb. The chances of that getting pressed by accident are very low. Up here on top, we've got a battery tester on the battery itself. We've got a charging port. Here we've got the place where it's got the receiver if you're using this as a slave, looking out for other lights. We have a sync port and a USB port for firmware updates. Over here we have a different kind of wireless control port, which is some kind of USB connection. I'm not actually sure what you'd connect to that. I did try and Google it and I did look in the manual, but I'm not sure. So if you want an update about that, then see the description below. The main control dial is actually pretty excellent compared to some other things. For example, I can move it really quick and really slow and it still works fine. You don't have to go through loads of different menus to do what you want to do. The group/channel button here. So you press to switch the group and hold down to get to the channel controls. This button here turns HSS on or off. This button here gives us the modeling light and the 3 different brightnesses. This is the on-off button, like that. Doesn't take much time. This button turns wireless controls on or off. And then when you're using this, you'll see a little S come up there, or an N or a C, so Canon, Nikon, or Sony. The test button. And once again, attention to detail. I've never seen an LED button that looks like this one does. Multi, which is firing multiple flashes at the same time. The lower the power that you use, the more times you'll be able to fire 40 shots at 100 hertz, so 100 times a second. That is loud. 25 hertz, I love the sound that that makes. It sounds so powerful. So at 132, we can do 16 shots. The next mode is TTL, and like I said, it just works beautifully. This is protected to some degree because, you know, it's in this sort of glass enclosure. So it's pretty simple. Step one, don't break the bulb. Connect the dingly-doo, and it's just a pressure fit. Connect that into there. Be quite gentle. And ideally, don't smack the bulb against the table. We've got about 2 meters of cable there. For some uses, like in the studio, you could just have this unit, it's going to work fine. But if you want to have this on a fairly high light stand, or if you want to have someone walk around with this, either you or an assistant, this is going to be really, really useful. And it's still very, very strong. So we've got this really nice, super solid connection arm. It has little stops right there. So this will easily hold, you know, a big umbrella or a big softbox. Now check out my review in the links below for the Pixapro 150 centimeter easy open softbox. By far my favorite diffuser. I'm gonna move this down here so I don't shatter it. Ah, shatter! My thinking is there's no way that you're gonna travel with this bag, let's say over your shoulder, for traveling purposes, because you still need to take this and the bulb and, you know, other lighting stuff. So the only use for this bag is to use the bag while shooting, to have it on your shoulder with the extension. It can't close while it's in use. This should have a cutout for this to fit in. I also think this should be a bit more padded. Something else I really like about this light is that it tells you your flash duration in manual mode at every single setting. So for anyone shooting high speed stuff, meaning you need the light to happen at a very, very short amount of time. For example, here at the lowest power, we can see that we're getting 1/10,000th of a second. Here in the manual, we can see that they are using the T0.1 measurement and not the shorter T0.5 measurement. And the difference between those two is some manufacturers will use the T0.5 measurement to make the product look better. Basically, if you use T0.5, you get to see the duration of that light from the point it starts to the point when it reaches 50% of its power. So that seems like a much better number, a much shorter duration, but in reality you still have a bunch of light happening after that. And with the T0.1 measurement, we are going from the start of the flash to when the flash reaches 10% of its power. So that isn't going to look as good on paper, but it's a much more accurate measurement, and in my opinion this is what you want to use when comparing different lights for high-speed work. So now let's do some speed tests with this. Obviously at low power, it's just going to continue firing as fast as I can press the trigger. 132. No problem. 1/8. Let's go up to 1/4. Half power. Full power. Now keep in mind that that is not actually slow, that is just a ton of power. Because obviously 1-to-1 on a 600 watt light is going to be much brighter than 1-to-1 on a little handheld strobe. So considering that you can often use this light at much, much lower power than this, then I really don't see any issues with speed here. Here we've got a menu with a few little things in it. We've got the beep on and off, and that's to let you know that it's ready to shoot again. We've got slave mode. We've got options for turning the fan on and off. Here it's in auto mode. So far I've never had that fan actually turn on. If you're shooting something where the noise from the fan is going to be an issue for whatever reason, then I believe what's going to happen is it will simply not fire enough to overheat rather than fire a bit more with the fan turned on. Then we've got the sleep mode, so that's set to 1 hour. We can change that 2 hour, 3 hour off. Then we've got the option here for the light. So we've got on, off, or 12 seconds. We've got a delay. This delay mode is going to allow you to have this fire sometime after another flash is fired. And this only works in manual slave mode. And so for example, here I've got it set to 2 seconds. I fire this flash. and then after a couple of seconds, that goes off. Then you've got a flash both at the beginning and the end of your exposure. The next two options in the menu allow you to use multiple lights like this in order to quickly cut out product photography items from their backgrounds. And a simple way to explain it is just you take one photo and one of these lights goes off, and that gives you your lighting for your actual object that you're taking a photo of. And then the next photo that you take would be the lighting for the background, and your main lights don't go off. And what that gives you is a silhouette of your item. So basically your item would become black and your background would become white. And that just gives you a really quick way to tell Photoshop how to cut out an object super quickly and automatically. And you don't actually need this light in order to do this. You could actually just use any light that you want, and you'd take one photo with the lighting on your subject and another photo with the lighting on your background, and it would just mean you'd have to actually move the light or turn some lights on and some others off. This feature is just for people who need to do it all the time and need it to be automatic. LCD, just basically how dark you want the LCD. So in conclusion, this light is absolutely fantastic. It beats out most other lights on the market and competes with lights that cost much, much more than this does. And for me, the really big thing here is the TTL is absolutely fantastic. I think the best TTL that I've used on anything. And it's actually so good that I rarely even have to play around with the exposure compensation. I suspect it's because this thing fires a strobe of light before the actual strobe for the photo. So it sends a really quick strobe, calculates the exposure, and then does the actual strobe. So even with big softboxes, really up close, really far away, pretty much whatever I was doing, I was getting incredibly consistent results with the TTL, which is just excellent. So what I would say is, if this is within your budget and this carrying size is okay for you, and if you need this power, or if you don't want to have to upgrade in the future, you will love it. Especially because I don't use a car most of the time, I find that small on-camera flashes work better for me, even if I don't use them on camera, but they can just fit in a bag much more easily and be carried long distance more easily. So that's a personal thing, that's something to consider. Pixapro also have some fantastic smaller lights, so I'll link to those down below, and I will review some of those soon as well. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. If you want to support this channel, then you can get yours through the links down below from Amazon or eBay. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!